Hi there. Nice to see you all on this Wednesday afternoon. My name is Becky Fischer. I live in Brewster. I've been living here on the Cape since 2006. Absolutely love living here. And have been working for We Need a Vacation since right about that time, 2006, which is when we launched the photography service. And I've been really lucky and happy and fortunate over these past however many years that is to go to people's houses to vacation rentals. And my favorite part of this work is meeting you, the homeowners. I've made some great friends over the years who are rental homeowners on our site, and I just really love the opportunity to meet you and learn about your rental and help you try to market your rental as best as you can. So I did put a little presentation together. It's short and sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully this works well. All right. Does that look like a presentation? And I don't know if
It looks good, Becky. Yeah.
all right. Okay. I don't know if it gets cut off because of the pictures of all of us. So yeah. So what I would like to talk about is just how to take great pictures of your vacation rental. I think, would agree that the photos on your listing are super important. It is the first impression of your home that vacationers are seeing. We know that vacationers are scrolling, on their phones or on their computers, but they're scrolling pretty quick, looking at pictures, looking at price, and then deciding whether or not to read one word of your text on that listing. I mean, that's what we've um, experienced over the many years we've been doing this, is the importance of great pictures. And now with iPhones and digital photography, gosh, we've come such a long way. I mean, when I started doing this back in 2006, people were mailing us their Polaroid pictures, and then we would scan them into their listing. I mean, so obviously we've come so far with digital photography and smartphones. And so it's really become easier and faster to take good pictures. So I've got some tips here that I wanted to just go through, and then I'm going to show you some before and after pictures that I've taken just to try to exemplify some of these. So for the most part, we really recommend that you shoot pictures horizontally, landscape, um, you know, this way, um, because for a couple of reasons. It tends to give more information about the room, right? I mean, unless you've got a very lofted room or a very tiny room, like bathrooms are tricky, then that might be an exception because you want to show those rooms, and they're special in that they're either small or tall. But other than that, we really recommend horizontal images. They show more of the room, like I said, and they just display better on our listings. They just look better overall. So that's one thing to be thinking about. I think we're all very accustomed now with smartphones. So many of the pictures we're now taking, are this way because we're putting them, I don't know, on social media or whatever, but we're encouraging you to turn that camera horizontally. Absolutely turn on all the lights in the room. This is just a quick and easy way to brighten up a room. It makes a world of difference. I've got this light on in the back. I don't know if you can tell, but if I turned that light off, it would change the room, right? And the light in a room being on really warms the room. I think it makes it look more inviting. Obviously, it makes it brighter. I think this is really an important part. The goal is usually to show as much of the room as possible, right? We want to step back as far as we can in the corner of a room or right at the doorway to try to show as much of the room as we can, right? However, my kind of little mantra that I say often is that I feel really pretty strongly that a beautiful picture is better than the full inventory of the room. So if you don't get a bureau or you don't get a chair, or if you don't get everything, that's okay. Focus on making that room look as pretty as you can. And so it's kind of a balance of those two things. Trying to make the room look big and showing off the room, but also really focusing on how to make that room look the most attractive. Simple staging, buy some flowers, buy a bowl of fruit, apples and bananas, just any sort of color, I think is really, really helpful. Set the table for a meal, make it look very inviting, put out wine glasses, help the vacationer really picture themselves. Oh, that's what it would look like if we sat outside and had our morning coffee, or sat down for a nice meal in the dining room. Just set the stage. Absolutely make all the beds, whether you provide linens or not, just at least a top blanket, something. Sometimes we get pictures with completely unmade beds. I just think that feels uninviting and kind of stark. And please, oh, please put the toilet seats down when you photograph the bathroom. That's just a little pet peeve of mine, but yeah, I mean, just, think when you're looking at your room, how can we make this look, as clean and bright and ready as we can? Be careful of wide angle lenses. This is kind of debatable, now with smartphones, we can make rooms look very, very wide, right? Which is kind of a blessing and a curse, I think. I think that there is some, in some ways I occasionally do use a wider angle when I'm doing photography, but usually I do not. And because I worry that, and you're going to see an example of this in a minute, I worry that it misrepresents the room. Okay. I can tell you a quick story that we rented a house in New Hampshire several years ago. House looked awesome. We were super excited. We got there and the house was, the living areas were so much smaller than what we thought we were getting, and when I looked back at the listing after kind of moving in for the week, I realized, oh, look at, these are so wide angle. It really misrepresented the house. And that was kind of a disappointment. We don't want people to walk in and be disappointed ever, right? So we want our pictures to really represent what it looks like, what it's going to look like when they get there. Which leads me to another idea, which I didn't put on here, but I should have. If you get all new living room furniture, or you completely remodel a room or a bathroom or anything, be sure to have your pictures be relatively up to date. I mean, you want to show off the enhancements that you've done, right? You've put this money into the house. Make sure that you're showing what you've done. You've ripped up carpet and refinished a floor. Take a new picture. That's really important. You want to show them the best that it is. I've had homeowners who have hired me, and I could list off 10 homeowners who have hired me 3 times because they get all new bedding or new couches, and they want me to come and just take a couple pictures of what they've got new. That's great. I mean, you can do that too. I think it's important that when they get there and they're out sitting on the deck, that the deck furniture matches what's in the picture. So that's just another thought. Let's see, where am I? Craft detailed and inviting captions. You've got that space under every picture, rather than writing like living room, you could write vaulted living room with skylight and flat screen TV, or master bedroom with king bed and adjacent full bathroom or something. Just use that space. Sometimes people will read those captions, sometimes they won't. People are moving pretty fast these days. But I tell people, it is, if you have a strength of a room, I think it's absolutely appropriate to put it in the written description on your listing, as well as in the caption. Tell them multiple times, because one of those times they're bound to read it. And if they read it more than once, that's okay. But just use those captions. It's good real estate in terms of marketing and selling a room. We have surveyed vacationers over the years multiple times, and we know that they want to see every room. They definitely want to see every bedroom. They want to see the living room, the kitchen, the dining room, the backyard, the front, So, and now they really want to see bathrooms too. I mean, that's not such a new thing. That's been true for years. But what I tell people is, if you've got two bathrooms, pick your better bathroom. You don't have to show every bathroom. But I think you need to show at least one bathroom because people want to just make sure that things are relatively up to date. And they just, so I think that is really worth the extra $10 or what, per picture to add a couple more pictures. I think that it's very important, and we know that the average number of pictures on our listings goes up every year because people are starting to show more and more. So just keep that in mind that, they do want to see every room, and you're competing against other homes that may show more pictures than you. And, people are gonna go with the listings where they get the most information and they feel the most secure and comfortable with what they're getting. Add a shot, definitely you want to get the outside, if you've got a patio or a deck, show that. But we also really recommend that you add a shot of your local beach or park or attraction. Sometimes I'll hear homeowners say, oh, but we're like 1.5 miles from the beach. That's okay. You don't need to be on the beach to show a beach picture. I think it's fair to say that a vast number of people who are coming to Cape Cod and the islands are coming for the beaches. That is obviously a huge draw, our beautiful beaches. So show them the beach. They may have never seen that beach before. Or if you live close to a park or a beautiful cranberry bog or a golf course, or you're close to downtown, or, whatever's kind of in your immediate area, I think that's an important picture. When I'm meeting with homeowners, I often say, that you're marketing your house, you're marketing your neighborhood, and you're marketing your town, right? Because we had a lot of vacationers searching our site, and they don't really know the difference between Wellfleet and Mashpee, or Chatham and Truro, So each town is so special and unique that I think it's important that you really explain in your written description and with a picture what's so special about your area. Okay. So here's a few before and after examples I'm going to go through. This is the same dining room. The picture on the left is the picture that the homeowner took. They turned the lights on. That's great. You can see that this is a vertical picture versus the horizontal picture that I took that just shows more of the space, right? And you can see that I set the table for a meal because I just think it looks inviting. Put out some wine glasses. And you can see that my picture's a little bit brighter. I do take lots of pictures and do photo editing. So, that's an advantage. But yeah, so that's an example of horizontal versus vertical and just getting more of the room and setting the stage. All right, here's an example of before and after. So before, the homeowner's picture is on the left. It's a pretty good picture, and you can tell that he used a wide angle. And then with my picture, the room doesn't look as big, right? But this is what the room really does look like. And you can see that I was able to capture the greenery through the windows. That's hard. And I struggle with that too sometimes, but just you can, I don't know, I just feel like seeing the green or whatever's through the window is makes for a prettier picture. So that's an example of wide angle versus not, and just trying to catch that greenery, that pretty color through the windows. All right, this is a Martha's Vineyard home. Her picture on the left, we see these sometimes, just lots of ceiling, and that can be tricky. You can see that she didn't, the light's not on. I turned the light on, I set the table for a meal. I'm a little bit closer than she is, so you can see a little bit more of the room in her picture, but I feel like this is an example of, you know, making it look pretty. You can see that I put out some tulips. Tulips are my very favorite. So when I do a photo shoot, I try to bring tulips when it's seasonal. The other thing is, you know, we've got the door frame and like half the TV, and you know, so it's just kind of framing the picture. This is an example of how I think a pretty picture is better than trying to get everything into the picture. See if there's any other points I wanted to make about that one. I think that's it. All right, so then I was just going to talk about our photography service. I think I've photographed up to 700 homes on our site at this point, which again, I feel really lucky that I get to do that. But this is what I send to folks, you know, when they're inquiring, and just a description of it. So I do photograph every room in your house as well as bathrooms. And I'll take the local beach too. And if it's not, you know, a beautiful beach day, we have a ton of stock photography. I've photographed almost all the beaches on the Cape at this point. So I have other ones that that I could use, and I take, whoopsie. Okay, I take multiple pictures of most of the rooms so that you have some choices, different vantage points. I always bring fresh flowers, and I'll do some simple staging, just straightening things, you know, pillows, blinds, trying to get everything to kind of match. And I usually set the dining room table for a meal. That's kind of up to the homeowner, and it depends a little bit on the room. But I usually set the dining table for a meal. So just doing some simple staging. Sometimes I'll put stuff away, you know, like in the kitchen, I might put a couple things down below, just to simplify and open it up a bit, that kind of thing. So yeah, so I typically take, gosh, about 200 pictures at a house. And then I edit them with Photoscape Pro. So I can brighten and crop, and I can do all sorts of fancy tricks to make the pictures, you know, look sharp and pretty. Then I email the homeowner the best 18 to 35 photos. It depends on the size of the house. Along with my recommendations, you know, I tell you which ones I like the best, but then you get to go through them and you choose which pictures you like, and then I will upload them to your listing for you on We Need a Vacation. I'll deal with Picture Central, get them all in, and they'll all be, you know, the large formatted pictures, which isn't quite as big an issue as it was a few years ago. So yeah, anyway, they're all going to be large and full screen, which is what we want. I do write new captions for the pictures if I feel like your captions could be enhanced. Again, just to kind of lengthen and give more information and make the room sound just as wonderful as possible. I also, part of the service is I will review your listing once I've been on the property and I get a sense of the house, then I will review your property listing and just make suggestions if you forgot to mention something, or you know, I'll just take a quick peek at it and email you some suggestions. And then often when we are at a photo shoot, we will take a few pictures and share them with our social media team, and then they will put you know, a few shots up on our Instagram stories or something with your property ID number, just to give you a little extra exposure online. Any questions? Is this a good place to stop?
How I can get to the library?
I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can get to the library. The one that's over here.
I don't think that was meant for me. Are there any questions, or should I keep on going?
Keep on, it's great.
All right, super. Thank you. All right. So I also wanted to just spend a couple minutes talking about our consultation service, especially this time of year. This is a very popular service. And I should back up and I'm going to back up and talk about photography this time of year. I forgot to talk about that. So a lot of homeowners say, oh, you know, my house doesn't look as great right now, right? It's not July, there's no hydrangeas, things are starting to look kind of wintry. Totally understand that. I agree, this is not the best time to be taking exterior pictures. However, it is a great time to take interior pictures. As long as it's not, raining or snowing, I do a lot of interior work this time of year in order to get your pictures updated so that you benefit for next season. I mean, we want to, as you know, January is really when the site activity kind of explodes and there's so many inquiries going around. So we want to help you get really great pictures now. So take your own pictures now. It's a great time to take interior pictures. And then, the exterior pictures we can either take in June, or I can just kind of coach you on how to take them outside. Some homeowners take their exterior pictures and email them to me, and then I can tinker and enhance them a bit with some photo editing, and that works great. So I just want to encourage you to consider, taking new pictures this time of year. I understand that, deck furniture is not in place and some rooms are kind of closed off. I get that. But any rooms that are, similar to what they will look like in the summer, now is a good time to get those improved so that you can benefit from them as vacationers are busy looking for rentals come winter. Okay, so on to the consultation service. We have kind of an on-site consultation service and a remote consultation service. There are members of our team that provide this service. So I'm going to talk mainly about the on-site consultation service because that's what I provide, but I'll explain the difference as we go. So the consultation service is where we come to the house and we tour the home with you, and you can ask us all sorts of questions about marketing and managing your rental. I might, if you've got questions about how the site works or how to use, booking management or, requesting reviews or those kinds of things, I can help you with that. But it's really mainly just to be at the house. I talk to people a lot about amenities, a lot about bed configuration. I've got welcome gifts, linens, how to screen guests, kind of anything that you want to talk about or show me or ask about, we do. And then part of this service too is a pricing analysis, which has become really, really popular over the last few years as things have gotten tricky. COVID was tricky. Everything kind of went sideways with pricing, and then post-COVID was tricky and everything kind of went sideways with pricing. So, every year it's kind of a guessing game of what the economy and pricing is going to look like. And we try to stay one step ahead of that the best we can. Based on, tracking numbers and things through the site. So the pricing analysis is where I come to the house again, like I've described, and get a sense of the house, the amenities, your proximity to beach, all of those things, and then provide you a few days later with a report that will offer a list of comps of other homes that offer similar amenities. And it's always apples to apples the best I can. If you're on the beach, then I'm only going to compare you to other homes on the beach. If you have a pool, I'm only going to compare you to other homes with a pool. If you're inland, quite a bit and not walk to beach, then I'm not going to compare you to homes that are walk to beach. If your home is brand new with lots of upscale amenities and a fancy granite kitchen, then I'm going to try to find similar homes. So I do the best I can to really weed through all of our inventory to find helpful comps. So I'll provide you those comps. Based on those comps and the tour of the home, then I'll provide you with spring, summer, and fall pricing recommendations for weekly, and those of you that offer, 2-3 night minimum stays, nightly prices. And I'll start that, you tell me when to start. Some people say April 1st, some people say Memorial Day, whatever. You tell me what your season is, and then that's the pricing that I will give it to you. And then as the last part of this consultation is, again, similar to the photography service, now that I've been to your home, I can give you feedback on your property listing. Again, if I feel like you forgot anything, or if I can think of any ways that you could enhance that based on learning about your home, then I'll certainly make those recommendations. So that's the on-site. The remote is just all of that minus the tour, basically. So it's doing it, you know, we won't come to the house. We have a brief phone call with you. We've obviously reviewed your listing. We talk with you about how your pricing has gone, you know, over the last year or however many years you've been doing this, just to get a sense of your pricing history. We also have access to that information, you know, on your calendar. So we learn about your house briefly in a phone call and then basically provide you the same pricing analysis. So it's more about the pricing analysis really than the tour of the home. And then this is just some snapshots of what that might look like when I send you the report. You know, you can see that I've shared, I usually do 2 or 3 searches. So it gives you a sense. I hope you can read that okay. But it's just a snapshot to give you a sense of the search that I might do. You know, letting you know about the comps. You know, some people have AC units, some people have central AC. You know, if that's a discussion that we had, or let's say you're pet friendly and other people aren't, or you're deciding whether to be pet friendly, you're deciding whether to do linens, then I might pull out that kind of information specifically so that you can see, you know, kind of what the difference is and what your competition is offering. And then on the right there, you can just see, you know, how I tiered the pricing. I mean, it's super important, as you know. You know, you can see the high season price is $3,900, and then I've tiered it pretty significantly based on what we know about supply and demand in the shoulder weeks. And then there's just a paragraph, I think, that is just talking about reviewing the listing and reviewing some of the conversations we had. So that's just kind of a partial pricing analysis I thought I would share.
Becky, we have a question that popped into the chat
Awesome.
from the Ballman Group. They said, we are planning renovations of kitchens, bathrooms, etc., and the addition of a pool and a pool house. How would you suggest going about pictures or renderings for the following season before the renovations are complete? And have you seen a pool significantly increase rent?
Yes, I would say pools do significantly increase rent because there aren't a lot of homes with pools. So it's and I think they've become more popular. So I do think that having a pool does, you know, put you up into another pricing tier. Yeah, I get that question a lot in terms of, you know, we're redoing a room, but it's not going to be ready. So how do we list it? I think it's okay to put, you know, the before picture of what it looks like now, or even the in process picture. And I would just indicate in the caption, you know, kitchen will be completed February 1st, you know, more pictures coming or something like that. I mean, I think that's okay to do. And then as soon as it's done, you know, take those new pictures and replace them. We make it really easy, you know, to upload and replace pictures, and some homeowners do it seasonally. You know, some homeowners in the fall, they put out mums and pumpkins, and you know, they show what their house looks like in the fall. And you know, so I think you can play around and swap those pictures easily. So I guess that would be my recommendation. I don't know if anybody else on the team has a suggestion about that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I agree with you, Becky. And then now with, you know, all the updates to Picture Central, it's just that much easier to keep your photos stored on the back end. So they don't have, if you want to change them out seasonally, you don't have to have them active, but they can live in the library. So when you decide you want to swap them out, they're there and you can just have them listed as inactive at that moment.
Absolutely. Yep. Good point. Any other questions? All right, so that's pretty much it. This is just a thank you and a smiley face and my email. And I did put the link here. This is our services page on the website. It's pretty easy to remember. And this will list, you know, our other services. So we've got the photography and the consultation we talked about today. We also have a video service that we tend to do more seasonally when things are looking, you know, summery. We've got digital marketing that Jenny does. If you want to have your listing on our social media channels. You can pay a marketing service for that to have it featured on social media. So this is just the link. You could review our services pages. We are in the process of kind of updating these as well, these pages, but that's always there. The other thing is I kind of blew past it. I was on one of the before and after slides, but there are a couple blogs in our blog. If you go to our blog and just search in the search bar photography or pictures, we've written blogs over the years with other suggestions, pretty similar to what I've talked about today. But if that's of interest, you can always look there too. That's all I got.
I
Thank
put
you.
that-
It was great.
I put that link right in the chat, guys, that Becky has on her slide. So if you want to easily click on it, it's there. And yeah.
What did I forget? Those of you here.
Becky?
Yep.
I have a couple of comments.
Okay.
That was all very interesting information and advice. And just a couple of things for those of you who are taking pictures on your own. Sometimes we come across pictures that were taken at night and the windows are black, and that's very uninviting. Just avoid that altogether.
Yep, I agree.
And if it's really sunny, just, you probably talked about, taking the picture, trying not to have a lot of sunlight streaming into the room, because that washes everything out. The other thing is that there are a lot of homeowners provide beach gear, and they take a picture of those things maybe all together, outside the garage or shed or something, and include that, because you can talk about it all you want in the description, but if you show it and you see, beach chairs there and beach toys and an umbrella and maybe a wagon to cart things to the beach, I mean, that's very appealing to people who have families and they don't have to lug that stuff, cart it to the Cape in their car. And another is, there's so many homes that are on a pond or a lake or very close to a pond. And some homeowners don't emphasize that, but those are really popular. If you have little kids and people who go fishing, or if you don't provide kayaks, which a lot of people don't, there are kayak companies that will rent them to you, and they'll even bring them to the beach. So explore that for your own home and the possibilities, because you might be missing out on a segment of the vacationing population that would really love to have, access to a pond. Now, it doesn't mean they won't go to the ocean beach too, but it's just a great thing to have and very appealing to many vacationers. So that's all I got.
I agree. No, I've taken pictures of people's sheds full of beach chairs and buckets and, and things. And I think it's great. That made me also think about, if you've got a finished basement, that's an important picture to include. I usually don't take pictures of laundry rooms unless they're just, a Cadillac laundry room, but most laundry rooms that we all have are just normal laundry rooms. So I don't know that that's, if you're debating pictures, that would be lower priority, I think. Again, unless it's a spectacular laundry room. But bathrooms are important. Yep.
And Diane had a question about asking if we can talk about some suggestions for a lead photo.
Oh, lead photo. Yeah. Good question. I almost 90% of the time suggest the lead photo to be the front of the house, because that's what most people do. I think if you're on the water and you've got this beautiful shot, from the deck looking at the water, then I would lead with that, for sure. But sometimes I see people starting with an interior shot, which is always interesting to me. I guess, every house is unique and different, and so I don't want to make any hard and fast rules, but my feeling, and certainly, other team members speak up if you want to add anything. My feeling is that unless you're on the water, then you would want a water view picture, but otherwise I would start with the front of the house.
Great.
I have a question
Mm-hmm.
for you. Pricing analysis people, any sense of how much, when you do your pricing analysis, how much do your recommendations vary from the existing pricing? And are they generally higher? Are your recommendations generally higher or lower? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I would say, boy, that's kind of hard to, I would say for the most part, the pricing, people are underpriced. And the price that I offer is a little bit higher. Now, there are certainly cases where I think people are asking too much, and I have to give them the somewhat sad news that I think they're overpriced. And some homeowners, it really depends on the homeowner's goal, right? Some people want it to be priced high because they're only interested in renting a few weeks, so they want to get what they can get. Some people want to rent 12 weeks, so they go a little lower because they want to book the whole summer. So it really depends on what your goals are. But I would say for the most part, I recommend a slight increase in price. Yeah, I guess I think the biggest difference that I see between existing pricing and the pricing that we provide are the tiers. I
Tiers.
think that people misunderstand or don't tier their homes enough. I mean, I almost always am offering like 6 tiers of pricing. It's the top 10 weeks, and then it's out till, the middle of October. Or May 1st to the middle of October. That's a lot of tiers. And as we know, supply and demand greatly shifts in those shoulder weeks, and it's more competitive because there's less people looking for it. So that's the pricing that I most often see a difference in between what people have and what I'm suggesting.
Thanks.
And Becky, don't you often increase the price or advise them to increase it after you've done your photography
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and
Yeah.
enhance the appeal of the look of
Yeah.
the listing, and therefore you feel that they can ask for more?
Yeah,
because-
I've seen that a lot. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Or they've enhanced something in the house that was kind of not represented, was missing, and then we took a picture of it and I was like, okay, now not only have you put in mini splits, we've got a picture of the mini splits, you can certainly increase your pricing. Yeah. Yes. Any other questions?
No other questions in the chat at the moment.
Okay.
Well, if there's no other questions, we could certainly give people 15 or 16 minutes back in their day. That was excellent. Anything else that the team feels like they need to add? Good stuff, Becky. Awesome. Thank you all for joining us. Certainly appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us today, and we'll be hopefully talking to you or seeing you soon.